Welcome. It's 2018. Happy New Year to all of you. I'm Didici from astrology.com.au, and because it's the start of the new year, I thought we'd talk a little bit about the quandary that I find most people in, the reason most people consult me, and that is because of the issue of choices. Life is a series of choices, and to that end, I thought I would take a little bit of time today to dive straight into my spin on this, and read a little bit from the book I'm writing right now, which is a book that I hope to release very soon, called Falling in Love with Your Life, Insights into Happiness. And this particular chapter is called Forks in the Road of Life. And I know a lot of you out there will be, making your New Year's resolutions, wanting to, I guess, come up with some new strategy for, how you're going to make 2018 a better year than last. So many people have said it was such a disastrous year. So let me just read a little bit to you, and sorry if I can't maintain my visual contact. Life at different times comes with a need for important choices, or forks in the road of life. But consider the fact that decisions occur on a moment-by-moment basis. On the most important choice or decision you have, that fork in the road of life in the moment is, do I want to be in love with my life or not? Forks in the road of life usually reflect important crisis points along the way. Sometimes it's a do or die situation, a decision that has to be made. But the truth is, every moment is a fork in the awareness of how you perceive what's happening right now. And making life choices is hard. So let's take a look at the way to decide the right path to take, and how it should always reflect your inner gifts and be based on love. If the choices you make are from a foundation of love, then naturally you'll love your life. The choice on this moment-by-moment basis is not always obvious, as you're caught up in the emotional passion of that moment, reacting in your pre-programmed way to what life is throwing up at you. But the choice is clear. You either enjoy this moment, which is an unending one called life, or you resist and fight back. In other words, making the choice to fall out of love with your life. Your experience of this moment is only your relationship with what's happening. Events are neutral and are only your own projection, which create the illusion of your life being lovable or not. Consider any event, and it can be experienced in as many ways as there are people observing it. Falling in love with this moment is no different to falling in love with a person for the first time. In the same way, you need to make an impression on this moment. Actually, you are, not consciously, but rather unconsciously, from a backlog of your preconditioning. And then you scream, "I hate this." It's true. We all do it. The love or hate of the moment isn't the moment itself, but rather your own projection and what is happening in any given circumstance. The movie screen of life is, after all, blank until it's populated with your mental and emotional projections. Cheers. Make a decision, a commitment, to demand the best not of life, but of yourself. Recognition of your reaction to life is a revealing end in itself. And attention must be based, and as a large part of the solution to how you can once again re-engage your life with the correct attitude of love. That love and attention must be based on earnestness to give yourself the best. If you aren't prepared to give yourself the best, how can you expect others to do so? You have to set an example to life and everything contained within it to respond appropriately, and this only happens through a new transmission on your part. We'll talk about transmission another time. These forks in life are only choices which, if you're aware and attentive enough, will be seen to be emerging in your most mundane of activities. Every day, every minute, every single moment. Those activities might involve the way you react to the sandwich girl who tosses the sandwich at you in a huff. How will you react, or rather act, in that situation? What about the anger you feel as you're driving along and someone cuts you off? I'm guilty of that myself. There's a fork. You can either be angry or cool. There are consequences to the choices that you make, and if you choose to be angry because you're lunging at your destination, racing against the clock as you always do, with your blood boiling and your cortisol and adrenal levels rising, all that happens is that those chemicals saturate your physical being. Or because you want to edge a metre closer to your destination just a few seconds earlier than the driver next to you. I'll give you an example. I got a call from one of my oldest friends recently, Ken. Ken was my best mate in my early teens, and I still have a lot of great memories of our youth together. He was born under the sun sign of Cancer, and so being a water sign, he has a natural affinity with me being born under Scorpio. Ken had bad news. I mean, it was really bad news. He was never one to beat around the bush, and he basically said, Dodici, I've got esophageal cancer, and it's terminal. I was pretty stunned. What do you say to someone when they tell you they're going to die? But what impressed me, and also highlights the point I'm trying to make about these forks in the road of life, or rather moments of intersecting possibilities, is that when I asked him how long he had left, he jokingly replied, between 1 and 5 years. And interrupting my uncomfortable silence with his usual juicy punchline, he added, Cheryl and I decided to take the 5-year option. Ken always epitomised the type of person who chooses a positive attitude even when the worst things are happening in his life, like dying. Of course, he could have opted for the 1-year option, previously known as the glass half empty attitude, or as he chose, he took it as an opportunity in that moment to make light of the situation and express joy rather than sorrow. Yeah, the momentary fork that we're talking about. He went on to pragmatically remind me that death was obviously inevitable as part of life and that it happens to all of us. Well, we all know that, but somehow we prefer not to think about it. And sort of it goes on, but I think you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. And so for 2018, I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to bring all of your awareness back to the moment, to the choices you have right now, every single moment. You know, some of you are tuning out now, some of you are glued to the screen. You know, every moment is different for each person. Some of you will, be attentive to what I'm saying. Some of you will think this is a whole lot of horse shit. So, you'll tune out. That's okay. But all that is a reflection of what I'm saying here, that each moment is indeed a choice, a fork in the road of life. And if you look at your life, it's just a sequence of these moments strung together. Your life is indeed just one big series of forks. Stick a fork in me, I'm done. So if you bring your awareness back to this moment, you'll find that it's the practice that makes perfect. The practice of life. And I go into that in a little bit more detail in another subsequent chapter in the book called The Practice of Life. And so astrology is really not only about telling you about the events that are likely to happen, but how you perceive those events and how you are going to make those choices on the forks that are presented to you in any one of those given moments. So for 2018, I hope you choose those forks that are going to help you fall back in love with your life. And I hope you'll join us here, hang around a little bit more as I go through the 12 signs and give you a bit of a broader view of 2018 and 2 or 3 of the very, very important transits that I think are going to have a major impact on all of us in the coming 12 months. So thanks for tuning in, for those of you that hung around and chose the fork to stay and listen. And for those who tuned out, you're probably not hearing this, but I do hope you come back. Take care. Speak soon. Bye-bye for now.